Welcome to the Central Prairie Co-op Podcast, your go-to source for all things agriculture. Each week, we bring you expert insights, market trends, and real stories from the fields. Whether you're a seasoned producer or joining us for the first time, there's something here for you. So grab a coffee and let's dive into the business of agriculture from the ground up.
Good morning and welcome to the Central Prairie Co-op Podcast. Today, I am your host, Mandy Lyons, and with me I have Emily Haas, our Petroleum Department Head. Emily, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning.
Why don't we talk a little bit about your history or your background? How did you get to Central Prairie?
Sure. So I've been in the co-op system about 30 years this year. Seems unreal that that's even possible. So 30 years, I first started out in a little gas station in Nebraska, western Nebraska, of all places. Basically, it was the cashier, C-store convenience clerk, and have been through a couple different co-ops, kind of just moving up in different roles. Started out there and then moved up to more like accounting, card trolls, moved up to doing fuel taxes, just learning all sorts of the different pieces of the business between petroleum with the propane and the fuel side. Currently, we've been here 8 years at Central Prairie Co-op. This has been a different type of transition for me. My first job as a petroleum manager, it seems like I already did all the duties, but never got the reward out of it, had that decision making. I was always seemed to be one person down, but was able to come here and be the petroleum manager when I got hired on. A lot more different tasks, a lot more different things. I was currently working in Colorado at a co-op, pretty strong side of the propane side. And then it took me just a little bit to get back into the fuel side of things, but didn't take long. Everything's always a learning curve. I guess when you're thrown into the fire, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to learn it as you go.
That's so true. And you've done a lot of work to reshape the Petroleum Department. Tell us about that.
Sure. So when I came, I was a little embarrassed at myself, and I must be a little bit of a control freak because I like to know what I know, and I like to know the things that are going on. And a customer would call in, a farmer would call in. I wouldn't be able to help them. I couldn't ask them what you needed, anything, because I didn't know what you had. I didn't know if you had our asset. I didn't know if you had a fuel tank that was propane or that was diesel or gas. I didn't know if you had a propane tank. I didn't know any of that because none of that data was collected and in one site to where something could look at. So that's also when I call it the good old days, kind of. We have those good old days, in the co-op days or whatever, that's when the actual customer would just call the driver. Hey, I need fuel. Hey, I need this. And it was more that. But things have to kind of transition in the different co-ops that I worked in the past, and how we kind of restructured them is that things needed to be centralized. I need a driver to drive. I don't need a driver to take phone calls. That takes time out of his day. And that other customer who might have called in or whatever might not get delivery if that driver's taking phone calls. So we revamped everything to come into a central location, take phone calls in. With that, we implemented a new software. Growing pains there. Talk about gathering data. Data. So, we're talking about, we started out with a piece of paper, and every time we'd go make a delivery, or if we had extra time, we would send a driver out there and say, okay, tell me everything that they have on their property. Do we own it? Do that? We had some documentation showing a lot of what we own, but we need verification. We needed serial numbers. We needed equipment numbers. There was just so much that we didn't know. And of course, when you have transition out of different people, everybody forgets something or nobody knows anything. So, or it just gets forgotten. So we gathered that information. It was probably a good 2 to 3 years. I mean, and still 8 years later, I mean, we are still fine tuning that. Ronnie in the office is still like, okay, this person's not getting fuel anymore. We need to see why. Do we need to go pick the tank up? Are they not doing, there's just so many little fine tuned things that we're just getting through now. And again, we have a small group. So I always say we're small, but we're mighty because of the things that we can do. So when we got the software system in, probably one of the biggest steps towards streamlining things and being able to accurately track things and to help the customer. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. When Ronnie, who takes a majority of the phone calls, if they call in for fuel or something, she can say, hey, did you need us to take care of this too? Or are you okay on this? Or so it kind of helps open that customer service piece up a little bit too on that side of it. I've got to say we've retrained. I always say retrain the customer, but we have. And I appreciate. Again, I always call it the old days back in the co-op. Someone would call in, we'd run right out and get their fuel, and it wasn't the most efficient. Or we have a large area. We run from, we have propane customers in Haven. Clear up to the Claflin area, clear down. We are so spread out that we have to run as efficiently as possible, whatever it is, whether it's propane or whether it's fuel. So we've really got to kind of watch on some of that. So that's why we streamlined some of those phone calls. I got to say, there is a piece of the software we could get to basically route the propane stuff, but we don't need it. We've got Ronnie, and that's a large reason why she is probably one of the best. She can sit there and create a route, full truck route, and we can have the most efficient drops out of it. And some days the truck will just sit because we're not going to run the truck just to run the truck. So that's probably the biggest piece. Fuel's a little harder because it's here. And like right now we're in the middle of harvest. So we're kind of just running amok sometimes, but we still try to do what we can on that side sense of it. But we've definitely got the propane side extremely fine tuned, pretty tight how things are ran with the efficiencies. There is a method to our madness, is what I always say. Some people are like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, but it does. And when it gets to paper and it goes down to the bottom line, it does make sense. So those are probably some of our biggest pieces on the department. But there was also not, between tickets on the service side of stuff, we've taken a little bit of, maybe I don't want to call it backlash, but maybe a little bit that, we provide a unique service, especially on the propane side of stuff. And unfortunately, we cannot give that service away for free. So we've had to, between the time that I've been here in 8 years, we've had to change those, those service fees and the different things like that, and labor. I've got to have qualified people. So I've got to make sure that I keep their qualified, and qualified people do cost. So we've had to, we're no different really than a plumber or an HVAC system. We have to have probably even more training on some senses of that, especially with the propane side of stuff. So we really evaluated those fees and everything. We've revamped propane customer guidelines and everything. We have minimum deliveries. We have to. We can't just run out there for 100 gallons because it's going to cost the company. So, we have stuff in place in order for us to be here in the future. So,
you participated in an EDDI study with the Petroleum Department, and that kind of gave you a path forward. Tell us more about that.
It was an eye-opener. I think we knew what it was going to be like. It was a little, they always say you don't know what you don't know, but sometimes deep down, So, when we saw the numbers, basically we did two separate studies. One was propane. It looks at your deliveries. It looks at your staff and their wages and the truck and the expenses. So if you have an older truck and it's nickel and diming you to death, which we did, we had to get a new propane truck this last year. it all filters into that. So how do we keep that delivery price down? How do we keep everything, where it needs to be? And okay, so we need to do bigger drops, or do we need to upsize their tank, or do we need to monitor? Oh, we need to up our gallons for minimum delivery to break even, not even to be profitable sometimes. So how can we lose less? How can, when we looked at all that data. And then on the fuel side of things, we monitor quite a few customers on our fuel side, commercial stuff, some different things like that. So we have a little more control over that. And that kind of slaps me in the face too, saying, okay, they don't always just need to be full. We need to wait till there's a certain thing and it's a beneficial drop. So we were able to really look at that data, and here in a few weeks at the end of July, we're going to be reviewing that data after we've implemented some of this stuff to kind of see. And guess what? It's going to tell us, okay, you might need to tighten down on this, or you're great on this. So always a little nervous, but always a little excited to see where we've come, because I know that when we invest in those we make sure that we implement what we need to. We don't have a choice. What's the point of investing in them if you're not going to implement it?
Yeah, and you're able to create a lot of efficiency and serve customers better because of understanding what that study said.
Yes, I mean that is probably one of the biggest things and that will be a time too. I always call it desperation makes you think. And makes you, I don't know, I don't like being in the desperation mode a lot, but sometimes I don't have a chance. I mean, we were struggling huge with personnel issues there for a while. I mean, we would hire people and they would be great, but some of them just weren't. They're not a fit for a propane or a fuel driver. It just wasn't their cup of tea, I guess you could say. So we struggled and we were in desperation mode. So we had to use other resources and to make sure that our customers were taken care of. Because number one, at the end of the day, our customers are our number one priority. So it kind of jolted us to like, wake up, we can do this. We have a solution. Is it the best solution? At this time it is. So we were made sure that we could take it. Now, I'll lead into, we have a full staff. It's been years, I'm going to say, and I don't even want to think how many years, a good solid staff. I have people that I think that are going to be, I call them the lifers. I think they're going to be here with us. We have Lance who does our service side of stuff. He's been here a lot of years, has a lot of great knowledge and everything. So he does propane leak checks. He does tank sets. He does stuff on the fuel side, works on equipment. And then we have Nick. He started with us in December, and he came from another co-op. He wanted to stay in the co-op culture. He wanted to be able to retire in that. So, and he had propane background. He's still learning fuel a little bit, but we're getting him there. And then we have Nick. He started last November. Go-getter. He just is a endless sponge of just soaking anything up that he can do. You have to ask once or say something and he'll take care of it. So a very quick learner, always wants to do more, always looking for something more to do. And he can drive a truck and to deliver gallons. It's really nice not to have to worry. He can get the job done. We have Wyatt, who is our CES salesman. He helps with selling lubricants. He does fuel. He does commercial accounts. He's kind of all around about it, and deaf and everything like that. He goes out and sees a lot of our existing customers and just takes care of them and makes sure if we're not meeting their needs or what else we can do better. So, and then I have my sidekick who sits next to me, Ronnie. Again, God bless her. She keeps me in line most days, but she's the voice of reason a lot of days too. So it's just really good to have a nice, strong team and a good working relationship with people that I trust, that, I can say if I'm gone or whatever, I can tell you, Ronnie can make the decision because she knows what I do. She's worked with me enough years. She can make those decisions too. So it's been, like I said, a struggle, but I think we finally found our team. I think we are where we need to be.
That is great news. Just finding employees has been a challenge since COVID, just
Yes.
across the board. So congratulations.
Finally.
Right.
Knock on something, right?
Right. So you provide propane services, and with that, there's some safety concern and insurance issues around that. So kind of tell us a little bit about that.
So we have to meet insurance standards and laws, state and federal laws. I mean, we have to meet those standards on the propane side. So insurance standards are every 5 years, you hit all of your customer base with leak checks. And again, we had a little thing that was an eye-opener again about a month and a half ago, that we got a call, I got a leak. Okay, well, we'll be out there. So the guys went out there, found out that an appliance store installed a propane appliance and it was leaking. We had no idea. So when anything like that's done, we need to be aware so we can come out, run a leak check, make sure everything is sound, and again, make sure that your safety is getting. It was, like I said, our guys are good at what they do, and they found it right away. It was leaking at the appliance. So we just want to make sure, and we send those annual information out. If there's any changes, please notify us. It's kind of like, I don't know how many more times you can say it. I mean, the safety is our biggest thing. I know I always worry, but that's my job to worry, to make sure we're meeting those standards or everybody's safe at night. So, but that's, to try to get that over to the customer to say, we just need to do that. When we do call for the 5-year checkups or anything like that, they like, oh, do I have to be? Yeah, you have to be home. We need you to sign off. We need you to understand, everything's good. And those are at no cost. I mean, the company pretty much eats that. Unless it's on the line into the house, then that's the customer's responsibility. But if you rent a tank from us, everything at the tank is our responsibility. So if there's any problems, we update the regulator, we update the pigtail, we take care of you. So there's a lot of safety with propane, and that's why we have to have those certified technicians that we have and all the training that we need. So, yeah.
Talk a little bit about fuel contracts and how we buy from the market. And I've heard you use a word to describe the market. So tell us about that.
Sure. Volatility. I think it's whether it's grain markets, whether it's fuel markets, whether it's anything, it's nothing ever seems to be stable anymore. Like the good old days, like I refer to that, fuel could maybe move a half of a cent. And then I remember the petroleum managers I worked underneath would fill everything up or panic. 10, 15, 20 cents these days now. You're like, okay, how much worse is it going to get? And then the next day, another 10 or 15. So it's just, and a lot of it's global. A lot of it's instability around the world we can't control. So we've just got to figure out the best way. So how we contract compared to how maybe other bigger co-ops or mom and pops or anybody contracts are entirely different. We buy off the market. So I get a daily price. I send it out in a text or an email if you're on that list. Basically, we buy that day. We buy off the market that day. I can't go out and lock in like a 42,000 or 100,000 gallons and say, okay, go sell this. It's good and it's bad. We sometimes lose out on sales that way, but it also covers us because let's say I go lock 100,000 gallons in and the price is $3.10 or something fictitiously, and the market drops out. Guess what? That's what we're stuck with. And that could cost the company a lot of money. So I gotta thank the board that we have our standards in place. It doesn't work for everybody, and we understand that. And I apologize, but we've got to protect the co-op, and that's the best way. One thing I can recommend to you is when the market is going insane, do not buy that day, please. And I will tell you not to buy that day. I will tell you, let it calm down a day or two. It usually falls back, maybe not all the way, but it calms down. When you're buying on that high side or it's climbing like crazy, you panic buy, and it never turns out well. So
great information. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Emily. And thank you, listeners, for joining. Be sure to join us next week where we will talk all things agriculture from the ground up.